Thank you, Amisha, for this chance to interview you. I'm really interested to learn more about your experience with global influencers and how global influencers are important in global marketing arena.
So global influencers are folks that are external to your company,
Okay.
And they bring in a really great outside-in perspective. So when I think of a global influencer, especially I work at a B2B company,
Right.
I really look at those experts. They're authors, they're academics, they're industry analysts,
Okay.
they are thought leaders, they're speakers.
Right.
So those are on a topic or trend that is happening, and our buyers are really listening to those folks and the advice they're giving them, not necessarily obviously product endorsements, but really about, digital transformation today. How are companies doing? What should they be doing? Best practices, things to think about, challenges. So those folks are already talking about those things.
Right.
And so we're looking to connect with them to create programs, bring them to speak to customers, co-create content, and really think about how we can create a community of influencers around a topic or trend that's important to our buyers, and then see how we can influence the buying cycle from awareness to advocacy. So an example of that might be, could we create a ebook
Okay.
with global influencers and get some of their thought leadership,
Right.
and talking about artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, analytics, and we put this really nice ebook together for the launch of Leonardo at Sapphire of May this year with 32 global influencers. It was an interactive ebook looking at the different topics under our digital innovation system that we launched, and to say, here's what we think about these, here's what we think about big data in the context of AI and machine learning and all this other stuff. And that's something that our customers are thinking about. And so that's something that these folks have put out there. And then, a customer could read that book or read some of that and get some value out of it. It's SAP branded, they can come have a conversation with us, they can follow that influencer because they didn't know that this person was influential on a topic, or they actually follow that influencer and really want to read what they've said and what they're doing. So then we become part of the conversation intrinsically because of that. And that's on the thought leadership, so that's more like demand gen or whatever. Another thing you can do is do a webcast with influencers, because they're really bringing that outside in perspective that maybe you're not able to.
Right.
And then you can have a customer who's an advocate, and you bring those two folks together, maybe an SAP expert in as well, and you talk about yourself, but you let the influencer really talk about the market, the context, and they can bring that really great context, and they can bring in that kind of third-party outside view into your program.
Got it. And can you give an example of almost like a country case study where influencer marketing really help you to position yourself or reach, have a global reach in that particular country?
So there's a really great example. So we have, our global program, and we always put different types of influencers. People have global reach, but they could be sitting in EMEA, they could be sitting in APJ. So we always try to find folks in different parts of the world when we create a global asset, so it becomes globally relevant, and a lot of folks in marketing and also sales, and then it becomes more impactful for our customer to get a global view, even if they are a local company, right? Because then they're being inspired by maybe somebody that's a little bit more locally relevant to them. But then something that we did with, it was an event. So in Brazil, they had SAP Forum, which is one of their big events of the year. And we started our influencer marketing program about a year and a half ago. And we started with events and awareness, because you have to start somewhere, which includes the identification of influencers. Okay. And how do we engage with them? How do you start engaging with them? So we thought an event would be good. In Brazil, there's a big interest, and they had started working with some influencers on some things for marketing activities. So they wanted to formalize a program. So I worked with someone in that region. So I worked with Cecilia Marshall. She was in Brazil. She was going to do influencer marketing. So we worked together and collaborated. And what does, learning from the global program, what can we do at the local level? So you start with an event. And so we have a whole event in the box. So, these are the things, the best practices we know that work at events. How do you take an event and extend the experience to an outside audience with influencers? How do you work with influencers to make your event better and more amplified? And then how do you do it, what do you want to keep going after the event? And, what are the, you want to create that always on relationship with events, right? With the influencers themselves. So the first was identifying influencers, right? What did we learn at Global? What do they like to do? What kind of influencers work, what don't? And then culturally, they have to also, Cecilia said, well, actually, we need to find this type, but we do need more social media type influencers, not just business influencers. So understanding the needs of that market, she understood the needs of the market, what they were really trying to do. I understood influencer marketing. So you kind of partner together and bring the best together and then pick and choose what's going to work. And then she was able to create a program for SAP Forum where they had 11, influencers come in. Okay. Some of them were new to SAP actually, so that was really great because we're reaching a new audience. And then we were able to extend the event by doing some of these interviews. A lot of them wrote blog posts after the fact on relevant sites and on LinkedIn or and there are different social media sites. So in different countries, there's a lot of different social media sites. There's a lot of different professional associations and networks. So your influencer is able to help, your local influencer able to do that. And then we look at it and we say, oh, you know what? There's someone that we could then invite up to the global events as well, because we have these 2 or 3 influencers that have a much bigger audience in Latin America, not just Brazil. Could we invite them up and become a part of a global asset? So it works kind of both ways, and that's a really good best practice we found.
That is a really good way of marketing and effectively marketing and reaching the consumers worldwide. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah.